Hello, once again, welcome to another edition of the I Am Always Right Sports Podcast. I am your host, as always, the mouth of Michigan, Robin Deca. With me, as always, my co-host, the Merc Zone, Mike Merkel.
Yes.
And he might as well be the new regular, because M's gone and missing out of action. The man himself, Kyle Botanowski. How you doing?
Good.
That's our new intro, by the way, so prepare that shoulder accordingly.
Yeah.
At the end of shows, Mike's going to slap you across the face.
Yes.
It'll be great.
Pull Michael right through the table.
Right? Exactly.
Dang.
Guys, we have so much to go over. Episode 27 of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. We've got NBA Finals action. We got NXT Takeover 25 to talk about. We're talking MLB Attendance and why it's in the pooper. We've got the Stanley Cup Finals and that back and forth matchup. And we're talking a little Calvin Johnson Lions football. All of that coming up on this show. Plus, we're crowning the first ever 24/7 I'm Always Right champion and possible title changes as well. So stay tuned. But I want to talk about, let's just jump right into it, the NBA Finals. That's the big news coming out of it. As of this recording, right, Raptors are up 1-0. The momentum is totally in their favor right now. They have home court. Everything is kind of working their way. I thought the Warriors at times looked a little bit jumbled. They didn't look, some of the shots weren't falling that were falling in previous series. Are the Raptors the new favorites now after that performance in Game 1? Right, like I said, as of this recording, right, they're only up 1-0.
Yeah.
But Mike, I'll start with you. Are the Raptors? We all kind of said the Warriors maybe in 5, maybe 6, right? No. Now with that performance, you said the Raptors. I'm sorry, I think you said the Raptors. You were the outlier. Excuse me. But most people, Vegas included, and everybody else have the Warriors winning at least in 5, if not 6. So, with that being said, does that change anything for you? I know you were already on that bandwagon, but does that change anything if you were on the other way?
Yes and no to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I predicted the series to be a best of 3 at the
Right.
end of the day.
Yep.
I do think it will turn out to be a 2-2 series going into 5, 6, and 7, which Toronto really only needs their home games to win the series.
Correct.
Which hurts the Warriors because now they're down in numbers, and now they're down in the series for the first time in 5 years,
right?
Which is amazing to hear.
Yeah, right.
So
when you think about it, right?
Yeah,
they haven't been down since they lost in the finals, which is
and they weren't even down.
Yeah, right.
It was Game 7.
Yeah.
So I think it's a tough spot for the Warriors to be in. You have so many injuries. This reminds me of, not exactly to a certain extent, but the Dallas Mavericks beating the Miami Heat, excluding the injuries, where you have just like comparatively to Dirk, you really just have Kawhi playing lights out basketball, and you have this other team that's in a little different of a circumstance.
Yeah.
Warriors are just way more injured than the Miami Heat were,
right.
But the Miami Heat weren't playing well together, and they still had to build some stuff up to get that run in the next 3 years they had. This Warriors team's at the end of their run, but
they're still effective.
They're still effective,
right.
But
do you think,
Raptors.
Do you think that, and Kyle, I'm going to ask you this question, do you think Durant possibly coming back later in this series is going to be the difference maker? Because DeMarcus Cousins did not look like he belonged out there half the time, honestly. The pick and roll he looked weak, and and you saw that by Steve Kerr with getting Looney out there. He looked terrible there. Yeah. The Raptors had a great defensive game plan, but they're like, you're not shooting the 3. If you're going to shoot 3, you better shoot a half court because you're not shooting 3. You can shoot 2s, but you're not shooting 3s, right? And so, with that being said, do you think Kevin Durant and them going back to their old way of playing, now that, it's like they're new as they're old and back to their old again, where, it's a little more iso ball at times, it's not as free-flowing to where they have another shot maker out on the court. Do you think it's going to help them in this series? Like, do they need Kevin Durant badly here, or do you think they should kind of, they don't need to rush him back necessarily to win this series?
I mean, saying that he most likely will be gone after the season, he sold his house in California, bought one in New York. So, I mean, whatever. But I feel like just for momentum purposes, for momentum purposes, if he can get back and put up like a 70-point game, regardless of what happens after.
Hold on. He's gonna come back, not like 40, because 40 at least would be like, I get that.
Yeah.
No, 70. Okay, he's gonna put up one of the greatest scoring performances in the history of basketball.
Often injured, yes.
Often injured cat.
Because you need like that. Because I feel like if he comes back and then you're going to a 7-game series.
Yeah.
I don't really think they could win in Toronto, but I feel like if he comes back puts up a big game.
Right.
You have that momentum. You're going to be playing at home a couple of games. You have that momentum. I feel like that's the only way you could propel yourself.
Well, I'm asking this then: did you, if Golden State wins Game 2, right? Does that change your response at all? Right? Like if they win Game 2, they win it by say 10, right? They beat Toronto in Toronto. They're going back to Golden State now. Do you think that Toronto still has the best chance to win this series, or do you think it's now that pendulum has swung back to Golden State because Golden State's not proven? Yeah, we can win on the road if necessary. Does that make any difference for either one of you guys? Like, does that change anything? Like after today, is the game today, right?
Yeah,
as of this recording, right?
Night,
yeah, Sunday night. So after today, if it's a series tied 1-1. I mean, I think that kind of changes everyone's perception of how this series might go.
I don't because to my theory,
right? Yeah,
I think
three-game series.
I think
right.
it's gonna be a 3-game series. So
right.
I think if they win here, I think the Raptors are good enough because they're a great road team.
Right.
As we
to
saw,
steal, right.
I mean, you beat the Bucks on the road in Milwaukee in Game 5, which is a pivotal game in that series against the best team in the NBA. I think they're able to at least win one on the road,
right.
which would
back to Toronto,
which would make it have to go back.
You got
to
2
Toronto.
chances basically to win that.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, Kyle. Same question to you. Does Golden State possibly winning Game 2 change how you look at this series, and are you kind of on the similar track as Mike, where it doesn't really matter because it's going to come down to games 3, 4, 5, really, like that chunk, that middle game area there, where it's going to swing one or the other?
I believe the absolute opposite of Michael. I feel like Game 2 is going to be massive to who's going to win the series because you have Toronto going up 2-1 if they can win at home. Then
2-0, really.
2-0.
Yeah.
I mean 2-0. My bad. But any team 2-0 in the finals wins 87% of the time. But if Golden State manages to win the game in Toronto, then you're going back home, one of the best arenas to play at home, and you have 2 games there.
Right.
And I feel like if you could steal a game in Toronto, that propels your chances extremely high. And if you lose,
then you're behind the 8 ball.
chances are almost diminished.
It's just interesting to see, right? Because we've like you said, right? We've never seen it to where Golden State's been behind. They've never not had home court advantage. So these are a lot of never have seen it happen before in this case. In the finals, you know what I mean? Okay. So they've never had to overcome this kind of adversity with the amount of injuries that they're having. Iguodala got hurt at the end of that game 1. Clay looked terrible in game 1. So there's a lot of things there that there's a lot of possibilities, a lot more variables in play for the Golden State than there is for Toronto.
Yeah, here's my fan theory on. We were talking about the other day on NBA being rigged. Yeah. And I think this would be a great story arc for the NBA through a 5-year long story arc, because the Warriors, their first 4 years, the series that they had the hardest trouble in, someone got hurt in that series, which propelled them to have an easier chance at winning. Right. You can go back to Kawhi getting hurt in the Spurs when they were up 32 points, or Kyrie and Kevin Love being out, or Chris Paul pulling his hamstring. Every single year, you're like, this team could beat the Warriors, and then they get hurt. Now it's the Warriors who are getting hurt, and you got a full Raptors team coming in hot to get you, and now it's can you overcome that?
Here's what's crazy, too, about that game, too, that was kind of phenomenal, is Kyle Lowry was awful in that game.
But Kyle Van Fleet was amazing.
Right, exactly. So you're it was weird, though, because you're expecting, Lowry to come in and be a solid contributor like he has been for years, and he was just terrible. I think he was out of the game in the fourth quarter with 4 points. I was like, wow.
Can we also
contribute?
Just for right now, I don't want to hear for the next week another one of these Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James comparisons right now.
No,
until a little bit, because you play Game 1 of the finals. I get you were at home and everything, but he puts up 23, 7 and 8. LeBron James last year in Game 1 put 52, 9 and 9, and still couldn't win.
Right.
So, and you win by 11.
Right. Well, I think
23. You can't. There's not comparisons.
I think the only thing I do think this though, if they win this series, and they beat them, I mean, geez, I'm not going to say Kawhi is then better than LeBron. I'm never going to say that, right? But that's you can't do that. But what I will say though is that that's hella impressive, and that would take precedent over a lot of LeBron's final runs.
Yeah, that puts Kawhi on a level by himself.
Well, pretty much.
For the most part,
honestly,
it's LeBron, Kawhi, something.
Yeah,
it's
pretty much.
Maybe KD.
Yeah, in this era, for sure, no doubt. Yeah, okay. So we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, as the series progresses, right by next week, we'll have more conversation about that. It's just interesting to see the dichotomy and the way that we're looking at this, and we're seeing how for the first time in a long time Golden State looks severely wounded, and they don't look like they're not the predator in this situation, right? It's extremely interesting.
Raptors in 6.
Raptors in 6?
I hope so.
Jeez. Hot takes over here. Hot takes here. You just really want them to explode so much. You really want them to explode.
Kevin Durant's in a very bad situation now too. But we can get to that in a later time.
He's a jerkhole.
He's gonna be gone.
He's a total.
But no, he's in a tough situation no matter where he goes. But later time.
Spoiler alert, he ain't gonna win nothing anywhere else. But anyway, all right, let's talk. Gonna get me all fired up and everything else like that. He irks me a bit.
KD to the Lakers.
He would win there. That'd be a winning team. I think that.
I don't know if they would, honestly. You got two guys. Yeah, you got two guys who've. If
you just added KD onto that roster, I think they can win.
Yeah, maybe.
Like if you just plot him on there.
Just plot him on there.
Like keep the whole team, just plot KD on there.
I guess.
I think they could win.
LeBron would still need to be the catalyst though, or else.
Yeah, he would.
Because I mean, Kevin Durant would.
But KD is.
But Kevin Durant would have. I don't know if they could though, because here's the thing: they both play such isolation basketball now, to where it's like they're like, okay, I'm gonna cover KD and I'm gonna cover LeBron, and then I'm gonna make everybody else make shots.
Yeah.
No one else on that team can make shots.
I mean, you got Kuzma.
Can you really cover them both?
That's also true though.
You're playing Toronto. You have Kawhi. He can only guard one person.
Yeah.
You have Paco Seacon.
No, I'm just saying.
Paco Seacon.
I don't know his name.
All right, let's move on. Clearly, the show is falling off the rails extremely quickly. All right, let's talk. Let's talk some wrestling here. Let's talk NXT Takeover 25. A tremendous show, right? I think we can all agree. You know, once again, they do what they do best, right? It's becoming to the point now where if it's not a good show, it's more of the abnormal. But I mean, looking at it, going down the card, Mike, I'm going to ask you any necessarily surprises. We were talking before the show. I thought the show set up to be a pretty predictable card. I thought we kind of nailed a lot of those predictions. Mm-hmm. But as far as anything that you saw or anything the way that went down, anything that kind of really shocked you for the most part? I got one. It's not a major one, but besides that, I didn't really have anything super major.
I don't think so. I thought the tag team ladder match went pretty much to scale.
Yeah.
Riddle winning was pretty. Yeah, I think everything.
I thought that match was a lot better than people thought it was going to be, though.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I really did. I thought they told a great story, and I thought they made Roderick look really good in a loss.
It's kind of funny to say it was probably like the second best match of the night.
Yeah.
Under the world title match.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, I think it was. Honestly, yeah, I do, because like I said, it's very rare you see a match like that where there's nothing really at stake, where both guys come out looking pretty good. Like Riddle's still getting the win.
Yeah.
Right. If Riddle would have lost last night, which would have been a shocker, I'd be like, oh, he's going to the main roster.
Yeah.
Like, how else do you do that at that point? But then you'd have.
Well, because I thought there's a chance that Roddy could win, and then that would set up the feud with him and Cole.
Exactly.
But I don't know if they're going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because it looked like Bobby was hurt.
Yeah, I know. I saw his arm was in a sling or something, so I was like, great.
So I was like, that's awesome.
Right.
So now they can't break. Anywho.
Obviously, I'm really happy that Adam Cole is NXT champion.
Yes.
About damn time. It's only been about 2 years too late, but it's cool.
I'd say about 7 months.
You shut your dirty face. How about that?
You know it's about 7 months.
No, how dare you. He
I
could have walked in day one, beat McIntyre, and I'd have been cool.
You would have been cool.
I know, exactly.
I think
it would have made sense,
I think the night after he lost the North American title, I think, is when he should have won it.
Yeah.
Like somewhere around that time.
After that arcade break.
I'll give you about 8 months.
Whatever, jerk. Anyway, I want to compare this, though, a little bit to the Double or Nothing show. And the reason why we want to go into this, that's a little bit different than the Money in the Bank, is a couple reasons. Number one, everybody can agree that takeovers generally are better than the main roster pay-per-views, right? Yes. We can all agree on that. Along with that, I would say that Double or Nothing put a heavy emphasis on wrestling. What do these NXT takeovers do? They put a heavy emphasis on the actual in-ring action, telling the story within the ring. So, Mike, I'm going to ask you this once again. Compare to me. Was there similarities? What was the differences? What did you like better? Did NXT do something that was a little bit different or better than what AEW did? Because this is WWE's like, see, we can still wrestle. Like, we can still put on that show if we needed to. Why they don't do that more often, I don't know. But point being, you know what I mean? We still have the we still have the talent. We have the ability to put on a great wrestling show.
I would say it's actually so impossible to compare the two, only because the match quantity is so impossible.
Let's just go top three then. Just give me the top three matches on the AEW show.
Oh,
you know what I mean? You know, Dustin, Young Bucks, and Kenny and Jericho. Because those matches, to me, you could plop those on an NXT show, and they would fit right in, right? You could plop, I think you could plop Cole and Gargano onto an AEW card, and that's semi-main.
Yeah, if you take the best 3 takeover ones, and you put the best 3 double or nothing ones, you can put them together, and it's all looks the exact same for the most part.
Right, exactly.
It's very similar style. There's a lot of, it's just all good action, and some of the best in the world doing it. So in that sense, yes, they were very closely the same. Just the only having 5 matches really benefits NXT and their 1 hour shows and everything really benefit the whole product as a whole. Then Double or Nothing, who had 9 matches, and 3 of them were
throwaways.
Like even the G1 Supercard just had too many matches. Where if you cut out the top 4 matches, the bottom 5 are amazing. Just that early part of it, it's
you're exhausted too. That's the thing where NXT kind of found a little bit of a niche where you're like, I don't feel exhausted at the end of an NXT show. Where I'm like, that was a lot. You know what I mean? I did feel like at the end of the AEW show, I was like I'm done. I'm kind of I'm glad it was great, but I'm done now. You know what I mean? Is NXT the only thing redeeming WWE right now, and their performances every couple months, basically? Because I don't think the NXT show is all that great. I think it's okay, right? You have maybe a good match every other episode on TV, right? Because you're trying to build stars, and I get it. But with only the 1 hour show, whereas WWE, you're just constantly being fed the same stuff over and over and over again. But these takeovers, I think, are the one thing where it's WWE, hardcore WWE that can stand by and go, yes, this is my product.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's so weird because I think if, say, Money in the Bank only had 5 matches, it would be an amazing card.
Yes, absolutely.
If your matches were only Rollins, AJ, the 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches, Kofi, Owens, and then whatever the main event was or whatever.
Usos versus somebody.
Usos versus Revival
exactly.
or whatever. Those 5 matches, I could. That's an A+ card to me.
Yes.
But then when you just add in all the if NXT was forced to have 9 matches on a card,
that'd be a rough go.
It would be a rough go. None of them would be as good.
Right.
So it's almost
absolutely.
It's so hard to compare just the quality, the 1 hour shows to a 3 hour show. If NXT weekly shows were 3 hours,
it would drag.
You would drag because you have everyone on there and stuff.
Right. So but this is
and all that being said, it is the shining light because they found the formula on how to do it. It's just I don't think WWE it's in a bad spot, but it could be in a better spot. They just put so many matches on.
Right. Yeah, and I do think that they're falling victim to wanting to basically rule the world, right? In a certain sense, right? They've always been top dog forever, but now that there's just so much programming now, and it's not going to get less anytime soon. You know what I mean? The money aspect of it, it really doesn't make any sense for them to go lower. So it's just interesting to see the difference in how and the approach, right, from this NXT show. It's okay, we don't want to overexpose things. We want to keep things tight. Where in WWE, it's we're not going to overexpose anything, but we're just going to give you the same 17 things over and over and over again, recycled. You know what I mean? This Super Showdown card is going to be a rough go. Yeah. It's going to be a rough go. I can't wait to cover it, but it's going to be a rough go. All right, I just found it interesting. All right, so which show did you like better though? Just give me did you enjoy the NXT show better, or did you enjoy AEW? Take the 3 throwaway matches, right? Just give me the marquee versus marquee.
I think I liked AEW show better personally. Yeah. Every single match, and Kyle can attest to it. Yeah. I think even as a casual fan, every match was intriguing. Yes. And it built your interest in it, even if you didn't know
what the hell was going on. You can go, wow, that was cool.
You can go the Bucks versus these Lucha guys. Who are they? And how they performed in the match. You're like, wow, that's outstanding. Right. To where I feel like NXT was very predictable this time around, and maybe it's because they did have the TV show, so it set up stuff and it made it more predictable. So it was kind of more anticlimactic. Right. But those 3 matches on AEW show were out of this world. Yeah. Probably one of them could be up there for match of the year, probably. And
honestly, I think the Gargano Cole match could be up there for match of the year too. That was a phenomenal. I know you like the 2 out of 3 falls better. Yes. But going in already having a feeling that Cole was going to take the title, right? Yeah. They still managed to kind of get me back in where I'm like, son of a, they're really not going to do this switch right now, and they bring you back around and everything. Yeah. So I thought that match was fantastic from start to finish. I thought they cut a really good pace. It was up and down as far as the rhythm and everything. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So big shout out to them. All right, after the break, we are talking MLB attendance, why it's in the dumps. We're talking some Stanley Cup Finals. You're welcome, hockey fans. And we're talking Calvin Johnson and why he wants to get paid again. Question mark. All that and more right after the break. Stick around. All right, welcome back to part 2, episode 27 of the I'm Always Right Sports podcast. Let's jump right in. MLB attendance. It's crappy.
It is.
All right, moving on. No, I'm just kidding. Tigers are averaging like 17,000 fans a game, right? Now, obviously, certain reasons that is because the product on the field is hot garbage. But with that being said, average attendance around the league is down for the 4th straight year. Now, I kind of want to start with you. I want to ask you, give me what you think is the biggest reason why people are just becoming so disinterested with baseball. I have some take on how Mike has to take, but let's get it from you first, and then we'll talk it out.
It's if I were really bored on a summer day, and
you're still not watching baseball.
No, that's not. I said really bored. That would really be the only reason I would go see a baseball game.
Wait, would you pay the $6 entry to get in?
I might have to negotiate down, but but like for me, I mean, I like baseball in general, but like there's the quality on the field for the Tigers and just around the league, except for some of the Houston Astros, like it's just not like that entertaining. And maybe it's probably just like there's a decade where it's hot, a decade where it's not. Like the NBA is really in right now, and the NFL is really in right now.
Right.
And it's probably just a wave. It'll probably gain up as the years go on. But like right now, I mean, like there's no entertainment. We're not talking about
there's no incentive for you right now, basically, to watch.
Yeah,
what
like
you're saying. Right.
Like who do I don't care. Like Castellanos, I don't like.
I don't know. He did something. We don't even know. Well, to be continued, I guess, for that.
And there's no like greats like
Mike Trout.
Is he like? There's no. He's not the LeBron.
No, he's the LeBron.
He is
he's
totally LeBron.
I know he's good, but he's not like an argument for the greatest of all time.
His WAR right now is like the greatest of all time. He's like 43 wins above replacement or something like that. It sounds stupid. Yeah. But to your point, though, I do understand what you're saying, though, right? But Mike Trout plays on a really crappy team, right? Where they're not going to do anything.
It's
right?
like, if you put it into NBA perspective, it's him on the Cavs.
Yeah. The Cavs the first time before they did anything, right?
Yeah.
Like the first 3 years where it's like, we got a lot to be excited about, but we're still terrible. But we have LeBron James, you know what I mean?
That's how they are.
That's how the Angels are, but it's been for like 8 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mike, I'm going to say a question for you, right? Why? Why is the disinterest? It's supposed to be America's game. Why do more people outside of the age of 55 and over don't want to watch a baseball game anymore?
Here's the interesting point, I think, on this. Every sports media outlet talks about 2 sports, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Football, basketball, sometimes golf if it's relevant.
If it's Tiger.
If it's Tiger, for the most part. But basically, if you go to First Take, they're talking basketball, they're talking football.
Yeah.
If you go to Fox Sports, every segment is LeBron James, Tom Brady, football, basketball, whatever.
Who's the greatest, who's not the greatest.
Yeah, that's all their segments. You know what they never talk about? Hockey and baseball. You know what's down? Hockey and baseball.
Right.
I think that has a big thing because you said, wow, people 50 and older love baseball.
Right.
Yes, because they didn't grow up with all these news outlets and stuff. They just watch the game to enjoy it. Kids our age, or I guess people around our age or whatever, not even kids, but like, we all watch First Take and we all watch Stephen A. Smith and all these guys talk about, oh my God, LeBron James is so amazing. You gotta go watch this game.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Brady's gonna do it again. You gotta watch this.
Right.
And through all of that, I think it's the media that's really like not putting up,
angling that.
angling for baseball.
Yeah.
I think if they start talking, man, Mike Trout's doing something special. You gotta go watch that. I feel like people would start tuning into baseball more.
Right.
But you don't really know what's going on because every time you go to Sports Center, the top 10 highlights in the summertime are non-baseball.
Right, exactly. And it's supposed to be prime baseball.
It's all.
I think that's a great point. I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about, honestly, is that you are so accustomed to, okay, we're going to talk about Steph Curry. We're going to talk about Kevin Durant. They're talking about things on ESPN right now that have yet to happen, and they're just speculating on what could possibly happen, right? We're talking about NFL practices on a daily basis here. You know, OBJ hasn't been to practice in Cleveland only one time this entire year. Who the hell cares? People in Cleveland do, but nobody else does.
We're already talking about the NBA free agency.
Yes,
2 months
exactly.
from now.
Right. We're talking about drafts. We're talking about next year's NFL draft already and way too early mocks and all that crap. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and I think you're absolutely right. I think another thing that I think people, and I think this is how the NBA was right before this kind of resurgence they've had in the past 3, 4, 5 years, where it's kind of a time right now, and we talked about this before the show, where as a Tigers fan, I have no incentive to watch this team. I have no incentive because they're terrible. They're just not good. We're not winning anything. The development's not there. We're not seeing a whole bunch of young guys play where at least you can be like, well, this is fun to watch. I get to see a whole bunch of dudes that are trying to, like, make their way. No, I get to see Miguel Cabrera's old ass go out there and hit for 280 and, hit 27 home runs and we're going to pay him $60 million. I don't want to watch that. You know what I mean? That's not fun. I know the league has tried to kind of narrow in on something that they can control. Rate of play, right? You got challenges now. You have a lot of, smaller market teams, even like Milwaukee and stuff like that are coming in, or are bigger, better teams now. Even Houston, to a certain extent, they just won a World Series. But I feel like if you're out of one of those markets where your team even has a remote chance, what's the point, honestly, right? And I think here in Detroit, we were a little bit spoiled here for that 5 to 8 year period where, we had a good baseball team. We were spending money. There was something to be excited about, We were signing Prince Fielder. It was a disaster, but we signed him. It was cool. It was a big deal. We're trading for people. We're doing this. We got this guy. We got this guy. We've got Cy Young after Cy Young on the roster. We got MVP after MVP. We got nothing here in Detroit for that. We got nothing. We got memories and heartbreak, but we don't got, we don't got no hope anymore. We ain't got no championships. So I think there's a lot of different variables that I think the MLB is trying to figure out, but I don't think it's one specific thing. You know what I mean? I think it's a collaboration of, okay, I get no media coverage, right? I get, we talked about this with the Lions, right? Where, we don't get a lot of media coverage nationally, you know what I mean? But, here in Detroit, everyone's talking about the Lions all the time. Did you see that interception in practice by Teeth Tabor? You know what I mean? Like, I've had those conversations with people where, like, see the photos? Like pictures online of their practice in shorts. Like, who cares? People care. It's weird. I don't get it. But is baseball in jeopardy? If they can't figure out a way to turn it around, it's such a slower paced game too. Everyone's so used to everything just happening all the time, So are they in jeopardy, like in severe jeopardy of like having to make major changes, doing something drastic? I don't know what that would be necessarily, but to do something to where it's like, we got to get to the mainstream. We got to start giving them steroids again. We got to start, we got to start hitting 85 home runs a year, on certain teams. We got to balance the league out somehow where you can't, you got to make a hard salary cap, because that would be crazy if all, you know what I mean?
That wouldn't help anything.
Yeah, I know, right.
Because
exactly,
then you would just split all the good players on, and you'd have one good player in each team.
Right.
And this league's not a single-player sport
right.
anyway. Realistically, baseball comes down to there's 2 teams that are really good, and they all have like 9 guys who are really good at hitting, and they have a deep bullpen,
right.
and they have all the good players, and then they play each other in the World Series.
All for 1 year too. They all trade for all the best players. They make a run, they win, and then they go.
And all their players go away. It's like what the Rams did. They literally got all these good players. Like, all right, we're gonna do it this year, and then they didn't do it, and they're like, I guess we can't sign anything. All you guys are gone now. So like, baseball's in serious jeopardy because no one watches it. Yeah. Unfortunately, because baseball's interesting.
I don't think people appreciate how hard baseball is sometimes either. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think you look at it and you go, okay, it's a pitcher, it's a hitter. All right.
Yeah, I used to have arguments with some of my friends about like the hardest thing to do in sports. Right. Like the single hardest thing to do in sports is hit a baseball.
Right. Yeah. Try to hit a 95 mile an hour fastball.
Yeah, that is the single hardest thing to do in any sport is just hit a baseball.
Right, for sure.
And no one really appreciates because they just make it look so easy. Just, they hit a home run. They hit a home
exactly.
run.
Well, that was good.
I think hitting home runs is making it worse with all these home runs because you're just like, it's so easy for them now to hit a home runs. When realistically, it's not.
Right. Yeah, and I think that you don't have these classic rivalries anymore. There's no hardcore Boston versus New York thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, who cares? There's a lot of problems with baseball right now. I don't know how they're going to get out of it. Maybe playoffs will be better. I have no idea. It's whatever. All right, I want to talk about another sport that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. Hell, even on this show, I'll admit it. Stanley Cup Finals, NHL going on. We got the Boston Bruins, St. Louis Blues. Bruins up 2-1 in a dogfight of a series. I say that ironically.
That's so funny that you wrote that too. 7-2.
I know, right? I want to ask you, Mike, who are you rooting for, right? And why is it Boston?
Spoiler alert. It's Boston.
Yeah.
I go by, they have the best player on the ice in Crosby. And I bet them to win. Yeah. I bet, anytime I bet money, I have a lot of money on Raptors, so I have to bet the Raptors. Yeah. And I bet money on Boston, so That's really the biggest. It's funny because I really don't want Boston to win.
Yeah, right.
Because I don't want Boston to own 3 of the 4 major championships this year.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't trust St. Louis to win.
Yeah.
They're not the big market team there that's like been there often and stuff.
For sure.
Boston's there. It seems like every single year in the conference finals or the finals or the Stanley Cup playoffs or whatever. So I take Boston off of experience, and they have the best player on the ice.
Right, Kyle. I'm going to ask you, how big of a win would this be for St. Louis? Right, you just lost the Rams a couple years ago. Right, you haven't won a major championship, since the Cardinals, I think, 2006. No, they won more recently than that. But in hockey, you haven't been relevant in years, right? So
years,
like this many.
That many.
You got all that? So with that being said, how big of a win for the city? How big for hockey too? Because St. Louis wasn't a team coming in. You're like, that's a good team. It's not a great team, right? And they've made some strides here in this last season or so where you're like, okay, they're going to make a run here. They've kind of overcame the odds. They beat a really good Sharks team. And now they're here. They're down. But if they win this, how big is that for another team, a smaller market team, to walk away with the cup?
I think it's pretty huge, saying that when St. Louis left, it probably took to heart. Like, imagine if the Lions left.
Right. Yeah. The Rams leaving really kind of hurt the city as well.
Yeah, because it's like a small town. You don't have those big teams there. And imagine if the Red Wings won a championship. We haven't won it. Nobody's won anything here in so long that
since the Wings. 2008. It's been literally like a decade.
I know. And so if they actually won something, you overcome the odds. You beat all these teams in the playoffs. You take down the Bruins with Crosby, and you win the cup. Mm-hmm. That'd be huge for the whole city. You really put the city back on the map, even though St. Louis is gone.
Mm-hmm. And but are they going to win though?
Right.
Well,
exactly.
Probably not. But saying they do, it would be fantastic for the city.
Right. Exactly. Well, no, and that's the thing though. And you're looking at it and you go, wow, what do they have? Right. It's one of those things to where you look at that St. Louis team and you go, it's a hodgepodge, it's a team where you look at it and you go, you can't name one specific guy off that roster, right? Yeah. So it's like they're just a good team. That's just what they do. You know what I mean? They're just a good hockey team that are trying to do something that only a lot of people saw coming this year. So it's very interesting for me. Mike, I'll ask the same question. For St. Louis to win this championship, right? Take the cup out of Boston. You lose that money, I'm sorry. But how big is that for them? Because I think that once again, I think sometimes major sports like this benefit from a lower market team winning their championship, right? Like if Vegas would have won the title or the cup last year, how crazy would that have been for the NHL? Just the sheer luck and anything can truly happen. My team in any year can theoretically win the championship. You know what I mean? Like basketball, there's no hope. Right? Like the Pistons ain't winning jack squat for the next 10 years. We know that, right? It's just not going to be a thing. You know what I mean? But in these kind of sports, and in baseball to a certain extent, team can get hot. The Royals can get hot for 1 year, put it together and win a championship. So how big is it for a smaller market team like that?
Basketball.
Pretty much, honestly. So like that though, how important is it every once in a while for a team to be able to go and just make that run? And I think it shakes everything up.
I actually don't think it's that important. I'm bigger on bigger dynasties. I like dynasties over
the one
and dones. Yeah. Like big Patriots guy.
Right.
When the Eagles win it, I go, it didn't really impact anything really.
Right.
And the situation with Foles and everything is interesting, but just like the Eagles randomly winning one year is just weird, and they don't set anything up because the next year they miss the playoffs.
Yeah, right.
I'm big into dynasties. That's why. For as much as I hate the word, it's like a love-hate because I'm like, you have to look at it and go, they have 5 years of total success and domination. I love seeing that in sports.
Right.
So I'm not a big fan in the whole, if St. Louis wins, good for them, I guess. Good for the city, like we've said. But I'm not a big contributor to, the one-and-dones. And we barely snuck by this one and got this in Game 7.
Right, exactly.
Dude, go us. I'm like, it's good for you.
So you weren't a fan of the Cavs beating the Warriors then?
No.
No.
Well, I was, but I do like the dynasty of the Warriors.
I just want to see your reaction because you're such a LeBron guy, so I just thought it'd be funny.
That's literally, I'm gonna say, the only exception.
Yeah.
But then forced it. Kevin Durant went there, and then you had 3 years that you knew they were going to win the title.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, it's fine.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's just interesting to me because I think it's fun to see every once where it's like, oh, look at this, there's this random blip of a team.
Well, actually, I wouldn't say the Cavs were a random blip because you had LeBron as he's been in the finals 6 times in a row at that point.
Right.
And then you had Kyrie there.
But Cleveland winning.
But Cleveland winning was wild.
That's
the situation they had was different. It's not like the Blue. You can even name a guy on the Blues.
Right. Exactly.
And they're gonna go win it.
Yeah.
You can name 5 people on the Cavs.
Right. Exactly.
So
I guess
it's like a different scenario.
It's interesting to say the least. All right. Last topic of the day. We're talking Calvin Johnson, the Detroit Lions. Basically, Rod Wood at the beginning of the offseason basically said that it's a priority for Detroit and for the organization to bring Calvin back into the fold, right? As we know, when Calvin retired, there was a little bit of hey, so that signing bonus, you're not playing for us anymore. Can we have a little bit of that back because you're not playing for us anymore? Which it's every team's right to do. Is it the most cool thing to do? Probably not. But nonetheless, that's what our team did. So because of that, right, there's a little bit of bad blood. He hasn't been in any stuff. He's been at other people's training camps. He was at the Raiders, I think, last year, helping out the wide receivers and stuff. And Rod Wood has made it a point several times now in this offseason to basically say, we'd love to have Calvin back. It's going to be a top priority for us to bring Calvin back into the fold, to welcome him back to the team. Mike, you're already grimacing on your face like that. But and Calvin Johnson has responded to those reports and basically said, you want me back as part of this organization, part of the family, quote unquote, pay me back my money that I paid you, basically, which was at least over $1 million is what it's been for. There's not an actual number out there, but, nothing too substantial for an NFL organization, and Calvin's made over $100 million in his career, so really not a huge dent either way. But that's the principle, I think, involved. So, Mike, I want to ask you, how important is it to have Calvin back, and should they really be squabbling over $1 million? Plus or minus.
Yeah, to me personally, would it be awesome to have one of the better receivers in league history to come help you out in training camps, OTAs, or whatever?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And just have you at the game, right? When Barry makes an appearance at a game, at a coin toss, whatever, at these fan events.
Yeah, it's always nice to have. At the same time, I don't think it's like you don't really need it at the same time. So to me personally, I go, cool. Either you pay him, it's like if he's not willing to come, and you're just like, hey, you're basically paying him to come, please come, we're gonna give you $1 million, just please come. Right. I don't think we really need to be begging for him to come back. Yeah. But if he's just I'll just come back 10 years down the line. He's like, I'm cool to come back now, we're okay now. Then yeah, absolutely come back.
Do you think the Lions should have asked for that money back? Because it's such a, let's just say it's $1.52 million. What at the end of the day, for the years of service, the amount of plays he made. I get it. He's retiring. You have every right to financially to do that, but a lot of teams don't do that. A lot of teams. When Romo retired, they didn't ask for money.
Yeah, he's in a certain predicament where he was so good that you don't. I personally wouldn't have. I would just be like, that's 1.52. I think you could probably have dealt with it and just kind of gave it to him. I would have given it to him because you saved you money. Because by retiring, you didn't have a $20 million cap hit for a wide receiver. It was 32. Yeah. So I would just gave it to him like, hey, have fun, do what you gotta do with it or whatever. I wouldn't have asked for it back probably personally. Yeah. But I see why they did, and to me personally, I don't think this is a big deal that they're making it out to be.
Right, because that's the thing, right? It's because when you hear Megatron, you hear Calvin Johnson, right? Everybody's ears perk up, right? You know what I mean? So, I'll ask you the same question. Do you think the Lions were right in asking for that money back? Or are you on the side of Calvin where it's like, why even do that, right? I gave you all this time, I gave you my body, I did everything I could, except for hold on the ball in crucial moments, but it's fine. And and he did everything he could. He's one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the game. Was it necessary to ask for the money back?
No, it really wasn't.
Kyle's like, I wear Vineyard Vines all the time, so I know the value of money, and not cool, bro.
I know the value of spending lots of money on unnecessary things. If you know what I mean. Right. But your football organization making millions and millions of dollars a year, is it really that big of a deal for a guy who saved you? Not playoff wins, but good games.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
And he's obviously one of the greatest players playing for the Lions, one of the greatest wide receivers ever.
And 4.
Yeah, and
players out,
ever, for the team.
Yeah, and but obviously you said they have the right to, but
yeah.
But like you really don't need to do that for everything he did. And after you did that, you saw what it caused, the turmoil, and now he wants it back.
Well, that's the thing, right? You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot a little bit because now you're like, yeah, we want you back so bad. You only want you back part of the fold. Barry's back, Herman's doing stuff, everybody else is doing things. Come on back, and he's like, yeah, well, you also didn't ask for their signing bonus back. You know what I mean, or a fraction of that signing bonus. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't retire a day before training camp like Barry did either. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of different circumstances here, but they were able to mend those fences with Barry. I think they're just going to wind up paying him back, honestly. I think they're just going to be like, hey, let's just say we came to an amicable agreement to get you back in the fold, you know what I mean, without trying to lose safe face. But I agree with you guys too. I don't think it really helped their cause any, because it was such a small, if it was like $15 million, all right, then maybe there's some negotiation that needs to happen, but at this point, it was such a small amount of money in terms of the NFL and how much money they're making at all times. And the amount of grief that you've gotten now are basically the 2 biggest names to ever play for you, right? Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, at the end of their career, both had a problem with you as an organization at the end of their career. You know what I mean? For one reason or another. That's not a good look for you as a franchise. So I do hope that they settle it, they pay him, they get what they need to do. I wish that it wouldn't have been so transparent. I wish they would have kind of done this more low key, because now when he does come back, because I'm sure he will at one point, he's gonna be like, oh, so you paid him, right? Like to your point, you paid him to come back. That's pretty awful. That sucks. But all right, that's gonna be it for episode 27 for the man, for the Burke Zone.
Well, you're the man now?
I am the man.
He's the man.
Well, you know what he isn't, and you know what you're not?
What?
The champion.
Oh, excuse me.
Because I'm going to be the first I'm always right champion here.
All right. Be cool, bro. We're all friends here. Be cool. Watch your back. Watch your back. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
Watch your back.
Dorks. Oh! Oh my God!
Hey, I need a rest. Hey, you, come here. Come on.
1, 2, 3.
No, I gotta get him.